Law enforcement officers are seen as saviors of citizens. Their prime duty is to save people from being victims of crimes. But what if there are officers who are worse than the criminals they caught? These people should go beyond what you can imagine and commit the unthinkable. Who are these psycho cops? How are they caught? On number 2, we have Christopher Dorner. Christopher Dorner was a well-known police officer in the Los Angeles Police Department. He wanted to be a police officer throughout his childhood, and his dream came true when he joined the police force. He graduated from Southern Utah University with a good score. He had served in the military and had a clean record of his name. But things went downhill after a few years when he joined the police force. How far would you go for revenge? Christopher started receiving bad remarks as he accidentally shot fire and physically harmed a recruit. He also was not on good terms with the authorities. He also made allegations against a field training officer for physically hating a mentally unstable suspect. When the authorities ordered an investigation, everyone turned against Christopher. There were no victims or witnesses. Everyone spoke against the allegation, and this deeply affected Christopher. The investigation report came in, and Christopher was portrayed as a liar who was unfit for serving in the police force. He was fired, and it was more than what he could take. As years passed by, everyone forgot about the incident. Police officers moved on with their lives. But then there was Christopher Dorner, fired from his dream job and lost his credibility. He was stamped as the big liar. The incident replayed in his mind over and over again. He challenged the decision of the LAPD in 2010, but nothing came in his favor. When we look into his personal life, we can see that his ex-girlfriend Ariana Williams spoke ill of him and even went to the extent of warning others about his behavior. This disrupted Christopher's day-to-day activities, and he was not able to lead a reputed life. People started avoiding him and mocking him behind his back. His loved ones isolated him, and he was not included in any of the family gatherings. He started suffering from depression, and he lost his sense of mental well-being. He wanted to have a clean name, and he accused LAPD of their hidden agendas against him. What happened on 3rd February 2013, the entire department was shocked to know that Christopher shot police officers and a girl in Orange County. His first victims were Monica Kwan and Keith Lawrence. He killed them because it was Monica's father who was on the disciplinary committee and heard his statements about Christopher. He brutally shot them by saying that he would kill Monica and her partner Keith as they shouldn't get an opportunity to build a family, as that same opportunity was taken away from him by her father. Authorities became alert of the incident, and they started protecting the families of former policemen who were on bad terms with Christopher Dorner. He had prepared a manifesto where he pledged violence and vengeance against those who destroyed him and his possible life. He started shouting at more police officers, and the authorities offered more than $1 million for whoever found Christopher. Towards the east of Los Angeles, there was a small town named Big Bear Lake. Christopher was found hiding there. When the police came in, they found the owners of the condo tied up. When asked about Christopher, they came to know that he fled in their van. The police tracked him down, but he shot a sheriff and ran away. He found another hiding place, and the police threw a tear gas bomb at him. This act of theirs resulted in huge chaos as the place got fire and Christopher was inside. After a few minutes, they heard a gunshot. Well, Christopher ended him and his body burned in the fire. The medical team arrived immediately and identified his body. Christopher didn't bring harm to anyone who was not related to the police force. He did exactly as he started in the manifesto. He killed police officers and their loved ones for ruining his life. He thought that they were the ones who should suffer, as they were the real liars. They destroyed his life and his family relations. Then, they went on with their life as if nothing happened. The story of Christopher is haunting, as this psycho cop had a great backstory to his name. Many came in support of Christopher as they thought that what he did was right. Facebook groups were formed, and a large number of people came in defending Christopher and his crime. They could relate to the atrocities of police officers and the justice delay due to the messed up police department system. A lot of them faced injustice, and knowing how Christopher took matters into his hands, they adored him for his braveness. The Los Angeles Police Department was shocked to know about the immense support Christopher received. They never expected such a criminal cop to get this amount of praise and support. The police officers became villains in the eyes of the majority. Psychologists said that Christopher Dorner is a product of the police department. They created a monster unknowingly. Many instances led him to lose his mind and commit all these crimes. The fact that he is a murderer never changes. It's just we have a better understanding of why he committed all these crimes. On number 1, we have Justin Volpe. Abner Luima, a Haitian immigrant, was detained by Justin Volpe and other police officers following a dispute that took place in that Brooklyn pub. Abner allegedly assaulted Justin and transported him to the police station, according to Justin. Then, using a wooden rod, he began beating Abner and sodomizing him. He used the same stick to forcefully insert it into Abner's mouth. Abner was transported to a nearby hospital, where he was informed that the police had found him acting homosexually. The medical staff did not take them. Justin's attack on Abner was already the subject of a rumor. This shocking attack triggered many people to start protesting against the unfair treatment of people by police officers. Their protest caught the media's attention, and the whole world came to know about this brutal attack. The NYPD was deeply affected as their integrity and honesty were being questioned. They had no option but to listen to what the public had to say and not protect Justin Volpe. The heinous torture he inflicted upon Abner cannot be forgotten. Meanwhile, Abner was recovering from his injuries. He lost his tooth and his private parts were deeply injured. When the case came to court, Eugene H. Nickerson ruled against Justin Volpe. He was given a 30-year prison term and ordered to make reparations of $277,000. Justin admitted that he attacked and sodomized Abner. He also said that he betrayed himself, the citizens, and his police department with his actions. He sought their forgiveness. His family was in disbelief as they couldn't believe that Volpe could do something brutal and heartless. His family was isolated as none of them wanted to have ties with such a psycho police officer's family. They were prepared to face the consequences of Volpe's action. Justin Volpe was not just a criminal, but he was a mastermind for pursuing his peers and physically attacking an innocent man. He made a web of lies to make sure that he will never be caught. His plans collapsed as he never expected Abner to receive public support. The news of his attack went viral, and this incident alone put light on many such forgotten crimes which happened in the last decade. Justin Volpe was put in jail, and he should serve his sentence there as he would never know when he will be attacked in the future. Many people strongly hate him and they might bring harm to him. The police officers have removed themselves from the friendship of Justin Volpe as they don't want to be associated with the crimes of Volpe. Abner has recovered, and he still hasn't moved on with the traumatic incident. He was shocked to see a police officer behaving inhumanly toward him. He couldn't defend himself as he was brutally beaten up and abused. He lost consciousness during the attack. He had to spend months in the hospital to recover from the severe injuries caused to his body. He received support and love from all around the world, and he even thanked everyone for their kindness. Justin Volpe wanted to remove himself from jail, and he tried to get out by pleading before the court. Judge Frederick Block recently denied Justin's plea for release, which he had made using the COVID defense. Justin is scheduled for release in 2025. Do you think Justin Volpe would hunt down Abner again, or would he be a changed man? Let us know in the comments.
On September 29, 2019, Deputy James and Deputy Zhang from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee, a potentially dangerous engagement unfolded due to their reckless actions. The incident began when the officers responded to a call regarding a package theft based on doorbell camera footage. The complainant, Mr. Aaron Branch's girlfriend's mother, alleged that a neighbor had taken a package from her porch. Upon arriving at the scene, Deputy James and Deputy Zhang engaged with the witnesses, specifically Ms. Vernita Eccles, who identified the neighbor across the street as a suspect. She further mentioned that the neighbor might have a bench warrant for her arrest. Within minutes, the officers made their way across the street to confront the neighbor, seemingly without validating the claims made by the callers. Surprisingly, Deputy James immediately announced his intention to arrest the neighbor without properly investigating the situation. It was during this engagement that Mr. Branch, the original recorder of the incident, arrived on the scene while openly carrying a firearm on his hip. He questioned the officers about the package's ownership, leading to Deputy James ordering him to disarm for officer safety. However, Tennessee law permits citizens to bear arms for self-defense, and there's no requirement to disarm themselves around officers unless there's a legitimate safety concern.
Yeah. Okay, now that box that came off your front porch, did y'all see a name on that box by any chance?
We didn't get a chance to look at it because it was stolen before we got a chance to.
Now, if we show you guys what the box looked like, how you doing, sir? Are you officer, sir?
Put your hands up, man.
I don't need to put my hands up.
This is for officer safety.
I don't need to put my hands up.
Safety.
Hold on, wait.
Put your hands up, dude.
The situation escalated as Deputy James unholstered his firearm, which Mr. Branch rightly challenged. This action was unnecessary and potentially dangerous escalation, as Mr. Branch was not displaying any behavior that indicated he posed a threat to the officers. Deputy James cited a state statute to justify his actions, but his interpretation was flawed considering the circumstances. Furthermore, the officers threatened to arrest Mr. Branch and his girlfriend for disorderly conduct, despite being on private property.
The proper procedures, you're supposed to ask if he has his handgun permit.
You don't know the proper. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Hey,
yes, I do. We went to the class. Yes, I do.
I don't need to keep my hands up.
Put your gun away. Yes, put your gun away.
I have not
For officer safety.
You ask to see his permit.
Ma'am.
Okay, can he just step in the house then?
No, I need that car.
We're not talking to you,
I'm
man.
in my car right now.
We're not talking to you right now.
You asked to see.
We're not talking to you
Okay, we'll go
right
in the
now.
house then.
I don't need to go in there. I haven't committed a crime.
You have a
I
permit.
haven't committed. I do have a
Dude,
crime.
we're not saying.
Where's your permit?
Amber, record Officer James. We're gonna make a star out of today. I'm gonna make a star out of James today. I'm gonna make you a star, James. I'm gonna make you a star today.
Step away, man. We're not talking to you.
Okay.
Let me see your permit.
Okay.
Keep this arm up. Let me see your
I
permit.
don't need to keep anything. I can do whatever the
This is officer. No, sir.
Do whatever. Do what you do. Do your
Police
job.
officers
He
are.
got the permit.
Police officers are in your presence.
The First Amendment protects speech on private property, and the officer's threats infringed upon this right. Legal precedents underline the special protection for personal liberties within one's home. The officer's subsequent behavior with an unidentified woman, initially detained due to the reported theft, raises Fourth Amendment concerns. While reasonable suspicion justified her initial detention, the officers extended her handcuffed detention in a police cruiser even after she provided evidence that could have dispelled their suspicions. Courts have ruled that such extended detentions could transform investigative stops into arrest, violating the Fourth Amendment.
There it is.
That's not,
Okay.
that's not
You go
how
to
the
law school?
works.
You go
I
to
did
law
go to law school.
Okay, did you pass?
I did
So
pass
you're
the
a
bar.
lawyer.
I am a lawyer.
Okay.
I don't have to
Just
disarm
go in the
myself.
house.
That's not how the
Just
law
go in the
works.
house.
Come here.
I'm not
Come here.
going anywhere with
Come
you.
here.
Just go
I
in
have
the
not
house.
committed a crime. They know I haven't committed a crime.
Okay,
They know I have not
Amber.
committed a crime. Amber, I want you to record them. I'm gonna make stars out of both of them. James
ahead.
and Zing. I'm gonna make big stars out of them. I love tyrants. I love tyrants like yourself.
Either you step inside or you go to
I'm
jail.
a private. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
5, 4,
I'm not your
Hold
child.
on, wait. Hold on, wait.
All right,
man, come on.
Go on, go
I'm
on.
not in shit.
No,
Bro,
because
you're not scaring nobody with that fucking permit.
question or whatever.
You're not talking about.
Despite these issues, Mr. Branch managed to de-escalate the situation through assertive dialogue. He challenged the officers' actions while maintaining composure and asserting his rights. Eventually, the officers released the detained woman, but not without her being held for an excessive duration. Now, let's move on to the next investigation. In an incident that occurred on July 3, 2021, officers from the Elkhart Police Department were called to respond to a disturbance at a hotel in Elkhart, Indiana. The officers stopped 3 teenagers whom they believed to be responsible for the disturbance and demanded that they identify themselves. As tensions began to rise, one of the bystanders at the scene started recording the encounter.
It doesn't matter. Talking about us.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He doesn't want you guys back here. And to verify that, I need your names so that if you do show up again, you can then go to jail. Okay?
So
what is your name before I put you all in handcuffs and take you all to jail? Okay. Then you're gonna.
I ain't gonna to jail,
Okay. What is your name?
Y'all ain't got no ride, man.
Yeah, we do. We ready to fucking ride in the team.
Despite the potential escalation, the officers did not conduct a thorough investigation into the situation. According to best practices for police interactions, responding officers are expected to perform comprehensive preliminary investigations, including interviewing witnesses to accurately determine suspects. However, the officers in this case seemed uninterested in investigating further and instead continued to insist that the teenagers provide their identification.
Because we can't verify that you are the parent or guardian? We can't do that. So,
Well,
again, I'm going to ask again before you all go into that.
Does that make sense?
What is your name? We can't just release
Well,
it.
hold on, let me talk to them. Let's talk about it.
But if they weren't part of the confusion, then I don't understand what's going on.
I told you multiple times.
The boys and bystanders maintained that they were not involved in the initial disturbance, but the officers did not seem willing to consider this possibility. The officers' conduct raised questions about their failure to follow proper investigation procedures, even though there is no legal obligation for police officers to conduct in-depth investigations.
You're not in trouble, man. But if you keep playing this game,
I want him to come out here before I say anything else.
They gone. They went out the back door.
whatever.
They went out the back door.
No, I'm talking about the manager that said that we was cussed because he know it's not us.
No, it wasn't them.
Exactly. That's why I want him to come out here.
He doesn't want to come out here right now. Okay,
Man,
he has a job
alright,
to
we
do,
going
which is
there.
inside. No, because he doesn't want you inside. He doesn't want you on the
He
property.
don't know it.
The bystander recording the incident questioned the officer's authority to detain the teenagers based on Indiana's trespassing laws. He argued that since the teenagers had not refused to leave the property when asked, they could not be considered trespassing. The officer countered by citing Indiana trespassing law, which allows charges to be brought against individuals who knowingly or intentionally refuse to leave private property after being asked to do so by the property owner or their agent. However, legal precedent indicated that a police officer who is neither the property owner nor an agent of the owner cannot create a trespass violation merely by asking someone to leave and then arresting them for noncompliance. In this instance, the officers were acting in their capacity as police officers and not as agents of the property owner, so their detention of the teenagers on suspicion of trespassing seemed unjustified.
These are not them. Would you like these gentlemen
Please
also
come on,
trespass on the property? Or do you-
We didn't have nothing to do with it. Yes. No, they had nothing to do with it. All right, man, get my.
Stand up.
The other dude come out the gun.
It was taller boys who are probably already all gone because they knew that you were coming and they don't want to.
That's what
Deal
I'm
with
saying.
police.
Until he come out here.
That's right.
Fair enough, but when I walked in, he pointed to you gentlemen.
Man, that's
Right
all
now
I
you
wanted
just
to
got
come
my-
out. To
you
clear
just
it
got my
up.
name for
He
nothing.
didn't-
You
it
got my
wasn't-
name for nothing.
It wasn't that hard for him to come out here and clear it up. He trying to put it in here because take
Sure,
it
because you're not
You're
cooperating.
not doing his
It's
job
easier
right.
for me to control the
Not doing his
situation.
job right. I am doing my job right.
See, y'all don't know
What's your name, badge number?
He was talking about. They was in there talking about gunplay with this dude, man. That's
Sure,
what I said.
and
Y'all
when I
didn't
got
have
here,
nothing to do
and
with
listen,
it.
when I got here,
Yeah.
he pointed to these gentlemen.
We told you it was
Okay,
The description that he gave.
I can't take your word for it when he pointed to you.
Furthermore, Indiana law does not have a stop and identify statute that mandates individuals to provide identification during criminal investigations. The statute requires individuals to provide identification to law enforcement officers, and that only applies when someone is stopped for an infraction or ordinance violation. This means that the officer's demand for identification lacked a legal basis.
He did. He pointed to you.
already in there,
He
bro.
pointed to
I
you.
don't want to hear
Okay.
your conversation. You already
Name and badge number, please.
dig yourself out of the hole.
Is an LCAR policy for you to identify yourself to the public?
My guess is they probably already left
Okay,
because they all probably have their licenses
that's fine.
and they drove off because they didn't want to deal with you guys.
The situation escalated further when one officer claimed that the hotel manager had misidentified the teenagers as the perpetrators of the disturbance. Despite the assertion from the bystanders that the detained teenagers were not involved, the officers seemed unwilling to reconsider their actions. The bystanders and teens remained composed, and with the intervention of the bystanders, the officers were eventually compelled to release the teenagers. Now let's take a look at another investigation. In a notable incident on June 12, 2020, a confrontation between an Amazon delivery driver named Deja Murphy and property owner Keith Miller in Lowell, Indiana, has brought to light the complexities of enforcing laws on private property. The incident, originally reported by the Times of Northwest Indiana and discussed on Lackluster's channel, involves issues related to traffic laws, private property rights, criminal confinement, and police authority. The situation unfolded when Miller, convinced that Murphy was speeding on his property, employed his truck to block her exit.
Good luck, buddy.
No. Bottom line is, I need your ID.
Sure.
You're going to pull your truck in your driveway.
Yep.
I'm going to get her information. I'm going to do a report, and we're going to go about our day.
I'm going to get my wallet from my office.
Huh?
I'm gonna
No, you're not. You're going to just give me your name and information.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna,
You want me to
I'm
write
not-
it down for you?
Yeah. I'm not spending all day with this. This is
I
ridiculous.
asked, and we have since put cameras up. I just said,
What's your
"Please
last
slow
name?
down." Miller. Miller.
He proceeded to demand her identification, thereby initiating a tense standoff. Responding to Murphy's call, Officer John from the Lake County Sheriff's Department arrived at the scene. He clarified that he lacked jurisdiction to enforce speeding laws on private property, igniting a discourse on the distinction between public roads and private driveways. Indiana's legal framework underscores the limited jurisdiction of traffic laws on private property. State law specifies that highway regulations pertain to publicly maintained roads accessible for vehicular travel. In contrast, a private driveway, such as Miller's property, doesn't fall within this category. Therefore, Murphy's alleged speeding on the driveway couldn't be penalized as a traffic violation under Indiana law. However, exceptions do exist. In certain cases, police can enforce traffic rules on private property where the public's invited. This enforcement relies on local ordinances and agreements between property owners and law enforcement authorities. These provisions empower the police to regulate traffic and parking on private property under specific circumstances.
Thank you. Sorry. Pull forward. Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
I need your license.
Okay. And may I ask why Dean?
Because you called the police, he called the police,
making
and
sure.
I'm called here. That's why I need your information. That's all the information I need. And he's upset because you were speeding. I told him he couldn't do what he's doing. And you're going to go on your way, and if you have any issues, you and your company can stop delivering here.
Okay.
How's that?
He came to my door. That's what bothered me. He came in my door, opened the door, told me to get the hell out my door.
While these local ordinances may not encompass the full scope of state traffic laws, they still grant authorities the capacity to uphold specific regulations. Miller's actions also raise questions about potential criminal charges. Officer Marshall suggested that his conduct might align with the crime of criminal confinement, defined as knowingly or intentionally restricting another person's liberty without consent.
That's harassment.
You know what? Let's stop.
Okay.
We're going to do a report. We're going to go about our day.
It's harassment, though.
Everything's everything. You know what?
That's harassment.
There'll be a report on file.
While Murphy's situation didn't precisely match this definition, it highlighted the broader issue of maintaining public safety and individual rights on private property.
To the prosecutor's office?
This is Lake County?
Yes. We'll give you a case number.
Yeah, I want the case number, too.
It'll be on the report, sir.
What's your name?
It'll be on the report. It's Marshall.
Marshall?
And tell your friend on the phone, I'm not upset with you.
That's my brother.
You know what?
You know, where everything's going on, that's the only reason why
Everyone's fine. We're here. I don't need your brother telling me my job and what we need to do. I think you need to get a hold of your supervisor and tell him
no, we already talked.
Okay.
She was on the phone when all of this
Get hold of your supervisor. What's the phone number you have to reach that?
219-779.
The incident also touched on the concept of harassment. However, Indiana law defines harassment as involving communication with an intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another person without legitimate communication. Because this definition doesn't cover in-person interactions, Miller's actions toward Murphy, while unsettling, might not fall within the legal definition of harassment. Fundamentally, the incident underscores the scope of police authority concerning private property and the need to strike a balance between individual rights and public welfare. Indiana's police power enables the state to enact reasonable restrictions on private property to ensure community safety, health, and morality. While the jurisdiction of traffic laws on private driveways remains limited, criminal violations, regardless of the location, can still lead to police intervention.